Good evening, everybody. It's almost 11 o'clock here live from Pittsburgh. You are listening to the marvelous broadcast of Real Steel Sports with James Krasnerick. Glad to be here, everybody. Last night, we had two of the more exciting matches of the tournament between Roger Federer and Andy Murray and Grigor Dimitrov and Rafa Nadal. In the first match, Rafa Nadal overcame a slow start and it inspired Dimitrov to ultimately end the Bulgarian's run, his furthest run in a Grand Slam tournament, 3-6, 7-6, 7-6, 6-2, and advanced the semis to take on Roger Federer, who defeated Andy Murray 6-3, 6-4, 6-7, 6-4. Actually, my bad, it was 6-3. I don't know why I thought it was a 6-4 set in the final set. My bad. But I couldn't remember what it was. I didn't stay up for that one. I did stay up for till the end of the third set between Dimitrov and Nadal, and all I gotta say is it was really good stuff. It really was. I mean, that was one of the most entertaining sets of tennis I ever watched because both guys were moving really well. I think Dimitrov has a really bright future in this game. I think because his game looks a lot like Federer's, the forehand, the backhand. The serve is a little bit different. The net game looks very similar. His strokes look so much like Federer. And his demeanor, he seems to be getting better at that, but he looked like he hung well into the fourth set with Nadal. And on a slow hard court to hang with Nadal through 4 sets, it's pretty impressive. So he deserves a round of applause. Federer, on the other hand, played the best match in Grand Slam. I thought he'd played in a long time, probably since he won his last Wimbledon. 2012 beating, ironically enough, Murray in the final. I actually have to say probably the semis against Djokovic, because against Murray in the final, he had a couple points where he was slow. In the semis against Djokovic, he played some of the best tennis I'd ever seen him play. I just remember it. Too bad I had my wisdom teeth out that day. So the memory's not all there. But anyways, the other semifinal that was decided was Wawrinka, who came off the 5-set win over Djokovic, taking on Berdych, who beat Ferrer in 4 sets. First off, I did not pick the Wawrinka match correctly. I did pick the Berdych match correctly. I predicted him to be in the semis. But this match is going to be an interesting match because you've got two guys who are, who are similar but in a way different. They're both power hitters. They're both, prefer to stay on the baseline. And they've had very, very similar numbers in getting this point in the tournament. If you look at the tournament so far, they're very evenly matched. Wawrinka only has 3 more aces than Djokovic and 1 more double fault. They've made an identical amount of first serves. Their first serve speed and their fastest is 137, just about the same. But if you look at some of the key statistic that shows it's going to be an even match is the time on court. The fact that it was obscenely hot earlier in the week really did benefit some players and really was detrimental to others. Not these guys. These guys made it through in 10 minutes and 19 seconds for Berdych and 10 minutes and 15 seconds for Stan Wawrinka. So these guys are not tired and they played well. They're getting their matches through at an average of about 2 hours and 5 minutes. Something like that. So they've really been efficient. It's going to be a really interesting match to see how it plays out because these two guys have played a couple of really good matches against each other in their history. I mean, look at last year's U.S. Open. Wawrinka taking out Berdych in 4 sets. Look at the Davis Cup title early last year, Berdych taking out Wawrinka in 4 sets. They've had some really good battles. Indian Wells a long time ago went to 3 sets to Wawrinka. I mean, these guys are similar in age, both from Europe. I'm just talking about all the dynamics that make them similar, But if you break it down and you look at their games, they're pretty different in terms of their styles of play. You've got Wawrinka, who is more aggressive in terms of coming forward. He's willing to come in and finish points off. He's a very adept volleyer in net. He's really good at, making his opponent pay from the baseline, and then, coming forward, putting the volley away. Berdych is a little more conventional. He likes to stay from the baseline and more or less whack away. And when he's on, he can hit winners through anybody, Nadal, Federer, Djokovic, you name it. But when he's off, he can lose to anybody. He's had a lot of early round upsets in majors. But he looks to be, I watched a lot of the match against Ferrer, and what really surprised me in that match is not how well he hit through Ferrer, but the fact that Ferrer had so much trouble hitting through him because Berdych, Ferrer's not a light hitter by any means. He may be small, 5'9", 145, but he can hit the ball. He can put some torque on it. And Berdych was able to get a lot of Ferrer's balls back in play and make him hit 2 more shots than he wanted. And that's not like Berdych. Normally we're thinking like this big powerhouse 6'5" from the baseline that just cracks winners off both sides. Not that time. He was able to play some damn good defense. He's really, I can tell, worked on his movement in the offseason because he wants to take that step and become a top 5, top 4 player for sure. He wants to stay in the top 5 and even get to the top 4 and win a major. He's got the talent to do so. Between the ears is where he's got problems. And that's where Wawrinka's really come a long way in the last year. He's lost 2 5-setters in majors last year to Djokovic, one down under, one in New York, and I think they were for the better of him. It made him work harder, made him want to be better, made him want to beat the best. And I have to say, in the long run, it's been good for him. Now, these two guys have played several times in their career. With Wawrinka having a slight head-to-head edge on Berdych. I believe the tally is 8-5. Yes, it's 8-5. On hard courts, Wawrinka is five and 4 against Berdych, but everything else he's 3-1. So on hard court, it's pretty even. And they actually have played at this tournament. They played a long time ago in 2009 before Wawrinka and Berdych really were fixtures in the top 10. It was in the 3rd round, and Berdych beat him in 4 sets, coming back from a set down to win 4-6, 6-1, 6-3, 6-4. Like I said, if I had to pick one thing in this tournament that both players have improved on and really impressed me with this tournament, Wawrinka's been his mental consistency, and Berdych has been his physical ability. We all knew the guy was big and strong, but he's moving like a guy 5-6 inches smaller than he is. He's really picked that part of his game up in the last 4 or 5 months. But if you were to break it down shot by shot, then that's when it gets, that's when it starts to, we really get to see, okay, who's better at what. Now, let's go to the tail of the tape and break it down shot by shot. For the serve, I'm going to give an edge to both. I'm actually going to label this a push. Berdych on terms of pure power hits a little bit harder, but Wawrinka, I think his consistency is a little bit better. They're both at 57% for the tournament, so I think that kind of makes it dead even. The forehand I'm going to give to Wawrinka, simply because of the fact that Berdych's forehand's kind of herky-jerky and can go at times. It's bigger when it's on, but when it's off, it's got more. It swings more or less than Wawrinka's. Wawrinka's is more consistent. I'm going to go to the backhand. I'm going to label a push for both guys because Wawrinka's backhand looks much prettier, better. It's more consistent in terms of how much spin he can put on it. In terms of pure consistency, in terms of rallies, I think Berdych a little bit better, but they both generate equal pace from the baseline. I got to label it a push. Volleys, that's a definite edge to Wawrinka. He's so good at coming forward and winning in the forecourt. He's done so much to improve that area. And, hell, he was so consistent at the net against Djokovic that it was actually surprising to me how well he played coming forward in the quarterfinal match. Usually guys that come to the net against Djokovic don't exactly have a high rate of success. But in the match against Djokovic, he won 67% of his points coming forward. Now he came in less than Djokovic, but it wasn't as effective. But he came in on the big moments, and he really was able to put volleys away. Movement, I'm actually going to give a push to both. And I'm actually going to give an edge to Berdych because he's moved so well in this tournament. He's moved better in this tournament than I've seen him ever move. Normally he just, again, sits back there against winners. But now if he can add a little bit of movement to his game, he's going to be even tougher to beat. The return of serve is, in my opinion, the biggest edge in this match. And I definitely think that Berdych is a better returner. If you break it down in this tournament and what's been going on, Berdych has won 11% more of his return games. He's converted lower percent of his break points. He's winning more points on his opponent's first serve returns and his opponent's second serve serves. Let me try that again. He's winning more points on his opponent's first and second serves than Wawrinka is. So I definitely think that's a statistic where he's got the huge advantage. But in my opinion, if you're going with the intangibles in terms of, mentally, in terms of, what they've done and how far they've come, that is honestly, you've got to list it as even. Because Berdych has improved so much physically and Wawrinka's has improved so much mentally. So my check total is I have an even 5 for both sides. I give Wawrinka an edge in the forehand and in the volleys. I give Berdych and Wawrinka each equal in the serve and backhand. But in terms of movement and in terms of return, I gave an edge to Berdych. So literally we're at even 5 apiece in terms of checks. But if I had to decide who's going to win this match, it's really going to be tough. I'm not really sure who I think is going to win this match. I have a funny feeling, though, that we're going to see a Swiss player other than Roger Federer in the Grand Slam final on Sunday. And I think it's going to be Wawrinka that does it. The reason why I think he's going to do it and not Berdych is because of that extra dimension coming forward. The fact that it seems that players who come forward have a better success in the tournament than guys that don't. Like, in the 2 matches Nadal played in the previous 2 rounds against Kei Nishikori from Japan and Grigor Dimitrov of Bulgaria, both those guys had a winning percentage coming forward against Nadal, and it was largely a reason why they were able to hang around with him so long. Well, Nishikori had 2 tiebreaks in one set that went 7-5, and Dimitrov pushed him to 4. So there's no coincidence why guys coming forward are doing better. Federer's coming forward, he did better. Djokovic not so much because I don't think he's adept at volley or some of these other guys. That being said, it's really going to be interesting to see how these guys use their skill sets in Thursday's match. And the winner of this match gets 2 days off, which actually has not really been that big an advantage the last few years. As I believe it's like a 500 record. I'm not really sure what the statistic is, but I just know it's not a huge advantage. But for this match, I think I'm going to go with Stanislas Wawrinka to get to the final. Because I know Berdych is moving well, and he's moving the best he's moved in his career. He's serving big too. But honestly, the performance that Wawrinka put on against Djokovic, I think that his game is suited to these courts. I think that he has a better advantage, better chance on this court than against Berdych. Let me try this again. I think he's got a better chance against Berdych on this kind of court than on a different kind of court because it's slower. Like if you look at like I said when I said earlier, Berdych is 4-5 against Wawrinka on these surfaces, 1-3 on other surfaces. They played several times on clay, and I don't think Berdych has beaten Wawrinka on clay. So what does that tell you? When the score gets a little slower, then I think that's an edge to Wawrinka because of his spins and because of the fact that he's better in terms of when the points get longer. So I look for Wawrinka to take advantage of that and serve big. And I think he advances to his first Grand Slam final with a 4-set win over Thomas Berdych. So I'm predicting Wawrinka to reach the final and win in 4 whenever he plays Berdych. Alright, that's my first semifinal prediction for the Australian Open. I'll be back with my second one very shortly, so stay tuned.